Good evening. I'm Bill Curtis.
I'm Walter Jacobson, beginning tonight with a federal order to shoot to kill, a warning to pilots who may want to fly small planes over Chicago during the NATO summit.
The order comes from the FAA. Chief Correspondent Jay Levine. Jay Levine did some digging and flying and joins us from Midway Airport. Jay?
Bill, the notice just went up on the FAA website. What it means is that there'll be a virtual no-fly zone from Lake County, Indiana to Lake County, Illinois, all the way out into DuPage County and over Lake Michigan. We took to the air this afternoon to talk with some of those who'll be affected.
It's an easy 3 days off of work.
We went up with Jeff Fair, who flies Chopper 2. He's familiar with all the airports that'll be affected, both those within 10 miles of downtown, where virtually nothing except scheduled flights will be permitted during the NATO summit, as well as those between 10 and 30 miles away, which is also restricted airspace.
What is that going to do to general aviation in the area for that period of time?
It'll shut it down. There will be no activity within those 3 days.
But this has happened before, right?
Yeah, anytime the president comes into town, there's a 30-mile no-fly zone.
The airports affected range from the big ones like Midway to other multi-runway fields like Lewis Airport in Lockport, as well as small strips like Bolingbrook. Plotting them on a map we made based on the FAA notice to airmen, we counted a dozen or more of them. Violate the FAA restrictions and pilots could be liable to license suspensions, criminal charges, or even, if they get too close and don't respond quickly enough, deadly force. Airport manager Chris Lawson at Lewis is expecting a slow weekend.
The flight schools will be shut down and the business aircraft will be able to come and go as long as they're in direct contact. The second they see him leave the ground, they're in radar contact with him. And if he deviates from that, that's when you hear the horror stories of deadly force and things like that. You don't want to make any mistakes during this event.
Employees at Atlantic Aviation here at Midway are already telling customers that they'll be shut down May 19th, 20th, and 21st. But like most of the special security event measures, which will be locking down some parts of Chicago that weekend during the NATO summit, it will only last 3 days. Bill and Walter?
But to be clear, Jay, there is an exception, and that's commercial airlines. They can still fly, can't they?
Exactly, Bill. All regularly scheduled flights will be going as scheduled during that period of time. You're apt to find delays during diplomatic flight takeoffs and departures, especially on the Saturday and on the Monday. I would expect long flight delays at both airports, Midway and O'Hare, during that time. General aviation, charter flights, corporate flights, those kind of flights, that's going to be a problem, especially here at Midway.
I know they don't want to tell us, but the question comes up with how will they enforce the rules? Shoot them down, stingers, jets that I'm sure will be on call? Jay?
Well, all of the above. All of the above, really, Bill. They'll be watching. They'll be monitoring all those flights, the private flights that have filed the flight plans, making sure that they go exactly where they say they're going to go. And if they don't, you can bet those jets will be scrambled to make sure they do.
Thank you, Jay.
And to repeat, it's not something that is all that unusual. Every time the president comes into town, they have that same problem.
Yeah.
And they solve it the same way. Stay with us at CBS 2 for continuing coverage of news leading up to and during the summit. You can read the entire FAA directive by going to our website at cbschicago.com.